One of the curses of the Israelites is that they would be taken from their land and scattered all over the world. People may believe that the fall of Jerusalem in 70 AD is the only time this happened, but that is not true. In this video, we're going to be discussing the different times that the Hebrew Israelites were dispersed from their land, never to return to it. The Most High used two different sets of nations to remove the Israelites out of the land, and those two nations are the Assyrians and the Romans.
The tribes of the northern kingdom of Israel were conquered time and time again by different Assyrian kings. The tribes that make up the northern kingdom of Israel are Reuben, Asher, Issachar, Manasseh, Zebulun, Ephraim, Dan, Gad, and Naphtali. The tribe of Levi is included as well. The Levites did not have an assigned land because of their priestly duties. They were spread throughout all of the tribes of Israel. The thing that the Assyrians did when they conquered a land is that they would exile the inhabitants to another place and move their people into the lands. This is what happened to the northern tribes when the Assyrians invaded. These tribes were never allowed to come back into their land. In the Egyptian and Babylonian exile, their slavery, the Israelites were allowed back to their land to rebuild after the time of bondage was over. Assyrian king Tiglath-Pileser III, known as Pul, started off the invasion of the northern kingdoms of Israel, conquering Zebulun, Naphtali, Gad, and Manasseh.
1 Chronicles chapter 5, verse 26. And the Elohim of Israel stirred up the spirit of Pul, king of Assyria, and the spirit of Tilgath-Pilneser, king of Assyria, and he carried them away, even the Reubenites and the Gadites, and the half tribe of Manasseh, and brought them unto Halah, and Habor, and Hara, and to the river Gozan, until this day. 2 Kings chapter 15, verse 29. In the days of Pekah, king of Israel, came Tiglath-Pileser, king of Assyria, and took Yaon, and Abel-Beth-Maachah, and Yanoah, and Kadesh, and Hazor, and Gilead, and Galilee, and all the land of Naphtali, and carried them captive to Assyria.
20 years after the first exile of the Israelites, Assyrian king Sargon II took Samaria. This happened after his father Shalmaneser V laid waste to Samaria with a 3-year siege.
2 Kings chapter 17, 3-6. Against him came up Shalmaneser, king of Assyria, and Hoshea became his servant and gave him presents. And the king of Assyria found conspiracy in Hoshea, for he had sent messengers to So, king of Egypt, and brought no present to the king of Assyria as he had done year by year. Therefore the king of Assyria shut him up and bound him in prison. Then the king of Assyria came up throughout all the land, and went up to Samaria, and besieged it 3 years. In the 9th year of Hoshea, the king of Assyria took Samaria, and carried Israel away into Assyria, and placed them in Halah, and in Habor, by the river of Gozan, and in the cities of the Medes. 2 Kings chapter 18, 11-12. And the king of Assyria did carry away Israel unto Assyria, and put them in Halah, and in the harbor by the river of Gozan, and in the cities of the Medes, because they obeyed not the voice of Yahuwah, their Elohim, but transgressed his covenant, and all that Moshe, the servant of Yahuwah, commanded. and would not hear them, nor do them.
Assyrian king Sennacherib, probably the most boastful king, took the rest of the northern kingdoms and even invaded some of the southern kingdom of Yehuda. He is most famous for the siege of Lachish.
Isaiah chapter 36, 1 through 2. Now it came to pass in the 14th year of King Hezekiah that Sennacherib, king of Assyria, came up against all the defense cities of Yehuda and took them. And the king of Assyria sent Rabshakeh from Lachish to Jerusalem unto King Hezekiah with a great army, and he stood by the conduit of the upper pool in the highway of the fuller's field.
Sennacherib had a large wall artifact made of the wall of his palace of the relief at the siege of Lachish. The picture that you will see is part of the artifact depicting Sennacherib's famous and most successful invasion. They are stone panels taken from the southwest palace of Sennacherib and Nineveh. These artifacts can be seen at the British Museum in London. The Most High gave the northern Israelite tribes warnings that this would happen due to their lack of obedience. Let's check out 2 Kings 17, 7 through 18 to see what he said to them. For so it was that the children of Israel had sinned against the Most High Yah, which had brought them up out of the land of Egypt, from under the hand of Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and had feared other gods, and walked in the statutes of the heathen, whom Yahuwah cast out from before the children of Israel, and of the kings of Israel, which they had made. And the children of Israel did secretly those things that were not right against Yahuwah their Elohim, and they built them high places in all their cities, from the tower of the watchman to the fenced city. And they set them up images and groves in every high hill, and under every green tree. And there they burnt incense in all the high places, as did the heathen, whom Elohim carried away before them, and wrought wicked things to provoke the Most High to anger. For they served idols, whereof Yahuwah had said unto them, Ye shall not do this thing. Yet the Most High testified against Israel and against Yehuda by all the prophets and by all the seers, saying, Turn ye from your evil ways, and keep my commandments and my statutes, according to all the law which I commanded your fathers, and which I sent to you by my servant the prophets. Notwithstanding, they would not hear, but hardened their necks, like to the neck of their fathers, that did not believe in the Most High Yahuwah, their Elohim, and they rejected his statutes and his covenant that he made with their fathers, and his testimonies which he testified against them. And they followed vanity and became vain, and went after the heathen that were round about them, concerning whom Yahuwah had charged them that they should not do like them. And they left all the commandments of the Most High Yahuwah, and made them molten images, even 2 calves, and made a grove, and worship all the host of heaven, and served Baal. And they caused their sons and their daughters to pass through the fire, and used divinations and enchantments, and sold themselves to do evil in the sight of the Most High Yah, to provoke him to anger. Therefore Yahuwah was very angry with Israel, and removed them from out of his sight. There was none left but the tribe of Yehuda only.
In 70 AD, Titus and the Roman army under General Vespasian attacked, sieged, and destroyed Jerusalem and the temple. Yahushua predicted or prophesied all about the fall of Jerusalem and the destruction of the temple. Matthew 24, 1 through 2 says, And Yahushua went out and departed from the temple, and his disciples came to him for to shew him the buildings of the temple. And Yahushua said unto them, See ye not all these things? Verily I say unto you, there shall not be left here one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down. This next passage comes from Luke chapter 19, verses 41 through 44. And when he was come near, he beheld the city and wept over it, saying, If thou hadst known, even thou, at least in this thy day, the things which belong unto thy peace, but now they are hid from thine eyes. For the day shall come upon thee, that thine enemy shall cast a trench about thee, and compass thee round, and keep thee in on every side, and shall lay thee even with the ground, and thy children within thee, and they shall not leave in thee one stone upon another, because thou knewest not the time of thy visitation. The Jewish war started around 66 AD, when the Hebrews revolted against the authority of Rome. In 70 AD, Titus and the Roman army arrived in Jerusalem at the northern outermost wall. After 5 months of attacks, the walls of the famed city came tumbling down. The city was destroyed and the temple burnt to the ground. The Hebrews were totally outnumbered by the Roman army. The Hebrews had around 24,000 in their army, while Rome had an army of 30,000. Over 1 million Hebrews were killed. 95,000 Hebrews were taken captive to Caesarea, and the rest fled to northern and western Africa to escape Roman persecution and slavery. Romans breached third wall May 25th and captured New City. Romans enter second quarter. Jews withdraw behind first wall May 30th through June 2nd. Titus' divided attack on first wall and the Antona fell. Romans build siege wall around city. Romans renew assault on the Antona. Fortress falls to Titus July 22nd. Romans burn gates and enter temple courtyards on August 10th. Temple destroyed by fire. Romans burn the lower city September 2nd. Romans assault Herod's palace and enter the upper city. Resistance ends on September 26th. Josephus. Beginning in April AD 70, 40 years to the week from the crucifixion of Christ, the temple was burnt August 10th AD 70, the exact same day and month on which it had been burnt by the king of Babylon.
After the destruction of Jerusalem and the temple, many Hebrews fled into Africa. Between the periods of Pompey and Julius Caesar, about 1 million Hebrews fled to Africa. The Hebrews hid and lived in Africa for over 1,500 years, from 70 AD to 1619 AD. George E. Lekba, author of Jewish Roots in Africa, had this to say in his book about the Hebrew dispersion into Africa. Pressed under sweeping regional conflicts, Jews settled as traders and warriors in Yemen, the Horn of Africa, Egypt, the Kingdom of Cush, and Nubia, North African Punic settlements, Carthage and Volubius, and areas now covered by Mauritanian. More migrants followed these early Jewish settlers to northern Africa. Rudolph R. Windsor, author of Babylon to Timbuktu, said this in his book on page 120. The black Jews who migrated to the Sudan from the north converged with the Jews migrating from the eastern Sudan to the countries of the Niger River. There is much proof, and still much more to be revealed by scholars, that there existed prior to the slave trade and subsequent to it many tribes, colonies, and kingdoms in West Africa.
This is a major part of history that is barely talked about or taught. The ancient Hebrews should show us all that if you make a covenant with the Most High and then continuously break it, the Most High will take away your heritage. We have a heritage through Yahushua HaMashiach, and if we keep walking in darkness, our heritage through him will be taken away. Wake up, Israelites, and take your rightful position as a peculiar royal priesthood fashioned to honor and worship the Most High.